and we are going to tell you all about how to do that in your Perk Up the Pad series that continues here today.
Yeah, I was talking to Patrick Hammer from 5 Eyewitness News, the meteorologist there, and he was telling us that June is usually one of the wettest months. And I thought we had a lot of rain, but we haven't. In fact, we've received less than 3 inches of rain the entire month. And that's well below average.
We're not complaining
I'm not. I really love it, except for I can't find, we finally did find a new house. We finally found the sprinkler system, but I cannot turn it on. So we've got a brown lawn.
Well, a lot of people are dealing with that actually
every button there is.
In those dry months. So we bring in Mike Frattallone from Frattallone's Ace Hardware. He is our hardware and garden expert. Good to have you back, Mike.
Thank you. And quite a title that I get.
Yeah, well, you know, lots to live up to now.
Yeah, I know. I'm a little worried all of a sudden.
And you even brought your own lawn.
I did. I brought a nice sample of my grass.
Say, that's kind of a weird
Your
angle.
wife's not going to like that.
That's right. She's going to kill me.
Yeah. So you brought some things in to show us in ways that we can make sure that lawn is looking great. And of course, the first thing that you want to do, you got to make sure you water your lawn, like Rebecca was just talking about.
I think you're right. It's been really, really dry, and it's going to be dry for like another 2 weeks, so they say. And one thing you have to do is you have to get at least 2 inches of water on your yard each week.
Okay.
And so if you have a little sprinkler, there's a couple different techniques you can do it. You take one of these sprinklers and let it run in your yard. And I had this little goofy canister.
I love it.
This is a Christmas-themed canister.
It's been sitting on my desk for since Christmas. I finally tossed all the candy out and thought, we can use that.
Good. Well, so it's perfect because you don't need it this time of year other than to...
Finally has a use.
Yeah.
So what you do is you'd run your sprinkler and you'd let the water fall into the little bucket and then wait till it measures out about an inch. And that will take about 3 or 4 hours worth of time. Once you know that, you get one of these little timers. Hook this to your hose and hook your hose to your sprinkler, and then you set it for 3 hours, and then you turn it on and forget it.
I've seen those those timers. I've heard about them. How much do those go for?
This one's about $20, and there's a big range.
Great.
Yeah, it's
Great.
fairly
What
easy.
about sprinklers, though? Are there any kind of good sprinklers out there compared to bad ones? Or?
Sure, not all sprinklers give water at that rate, 1 inch every 3 hours. This one's kind of a little weeny one, so it would be maybe 5 hours to get 1 inch of water. But some of the larger sprinklers, you don't want to throw your water really high into the air. You get a lot of evaporation that way, and you don't really want to do that. So this is a little lower. It's cheap, easy, it's efficient.
And what about the time of day you want to water it?
It's a really important thing. You want to water like between 4 o'clock in the morning and 9 o'clock in the morning.
What about late at night? I've heard that's good.
Yeah, you don't want to do late at night.
No?
The problem is if you water too much late at night, you can actually have your grass kind of mold out or develop funguses because it's not letting it dry out during the day.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, isn't it?
That's
Who would have
brilliant.
thought?
Mike Frattallone would.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, now you've got some sharp blades here. I'm assuming these would be from a lawnmower. Of course, you always got to keep your lawn mowed well.
I'm going to tell you something that just makes so much sense when I tell you it not about lawnmower blades. You don't want to use a lawnmower blade that's dull. It would be the same thing as cutting your hair with the dull scissors or shaving with a dull razor. You just never want to do that. It just hurts.
Yep.
So when you cut your grass with a dull blade, all you're doing is hurting your grass. It actually needs 50% more water when you cut it with a dull blade because you're damaging the end of the grass and it's trying to repair itself, so it needs a bunch of water to do that.
So how often should you change out blades?
You don't have to necessarily change them out unless they start to get bad, like this one, the tip is actually worn off.
Okay.
You want to sharpen your blade at least twice a season. And no one sharpens their blade twice a season.
Right.
But if you could do it at least once a season, you're way better off.
I don't
And you
think
can
we've
get that done
right at our store. Yeah.
I'm assuming your store, yeah.
Any hardware store, but specifically Frattallone's does it the best.
Oh, yeah. Of course, absolutely. And of course, you want to fertilize.
You do want to fertilize.
That's surprising because I thought you could burn out if you put too much on there.
You can. They're getting really smart with fertilizers now. What they're trying to do is get the roots of your grass to go as deep as possible, to go after that moisture. So this Scott's product, it's Turf Builder, it's what you'd put down right now, also says Water Smart on the side. It has a big logo. They're getting really into proving that if your lawn's healthier, it actually saves water.
Oh. So you just kind of have to do it in cycles.
You do.
Make sure everything's
you just,
healthy.
just make sure you're putting down at least 1.5 inches to 2 inches of water on your yard each week. That's the big key.
Sounds great, and I think a lot of stuff that a lot of people can apply right now, especially with this weather that we're having. Mike, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Always good to have you.
Thanks. We love having you here.
Yeah, coming up a little.